I played Bioshock 2, and I think I like this one better than the first game. So I kind of want to give a background on my experience with the first game. I've played it a few different times, only beating it completely once. Back when I first got my Xbox 360 in, it's probably like 2007, maybe 2008. I think it was 2007. At some point, I was introduced to game demos, and my cousin and I had downloaded the demo for Bioshock 1. I think when Bioshock 1 first released, it was Xbox 360 exclusive. Regardless, we downloaded it, and when we first jumped in, I think it was late when we were playing this, but it felt very much like a horror game. Like, we were pretty freaked out. Your plane crashes, and then you end up in Rapture. And at the beginning of the game, you're kind of in this auto-scroller where you're getting shown the underwater city. You're getting introduced to the atmosphere and to the creepiness. Then you see then you start to see some of the splicers walking around, and it's super freaky. Like, the first game is really, really freaky. Then you see the first Big Daddy and Little Sister. It eviscerates a gamer. Anyway, we played through all of the demos several different times, and we never ended up getting the game back in the day. Fast forward over a decade later, many, many years later, when we were live streaming, we played Bioshock 1. Me and all the boys. I think I was the one that had the controller playing it. Regardless, we were playing it together. And it was real janky. It was like, it felt old. The shooting was jank. Can't remember what difficulty I played on, but there were a lot of aspects I really liked. But like I said, I think the game overall for me was jank. I liked the story. I love the atmosphere. I like the story of the first one. But like I said, overall, there was just something off. It wasn't my favorite. I think that when people praise Bioshock, they praise it for its uniqueness, especially for when it came out, and they praise it for its storytelling with audio logs, but more specifically, the twist that happens. And it's very good, mind you. So now jumping into Bioshock 2, I was a little skeptical at first, but I mean, I enjoyed the first game enough where I'm like, yeah, I want to find out more about this series that everybody really, really loves. Like I said, you hear a lot about the first one. I don't really hear anything about the second one, and then I hear a lot about Bioshock Infinite. Everybody really seems to like that game too. I don't know which one the community itself likes better, whether it's 1 or Infinite. Regardless, I wanted to find out for myself, and once again, I knew nothing about Bioshock 1. I was somehow able to go over a decade without learning about the spoilers or anything about the video game. Same with Bioshock 2 and also coincidentally Infinite, so don't spoil me in the comments, please. But yeah, let's jump into Bioshock 2. So it was developed by 2K Marin and published by 2K Games, released back in February 9th, 2010. By March 2010, it had sold over 3 million copies. So Bioshock 2, needless to say, was very popular. I think the first one had sold 4 or 5 million copies. Regardless, Bioshock 2 was selling like hotcakes within the first month. So this one is, it's different, as in you play as a Big Daddy. You don't play as a dude who injects himself with Adam and gets power-ups. You do inject yourself with Adam in this, and you get power-ups, but you're a Big Daddy saving little sisters. Like in the first game, you can choose to harvest the little sisters, or you can choose to save them. If you choose to save them, which I did because I'm not a monster, you get Adam. I think you get the same amount of Adam, but you have to protect them. There's like a... it's not a kill wall because I think you can leave, but you shouldn't because the little sister's sucking Adam out of a splicer. You have to protect the little sister for a certain amount of time. It's kind of like a mini escort mission. They weren't hard, and I think I played the game on either medium difficulty or easy difficulty. Regardless, I didn't really have any problem throughout this game. Like, the puzzles weren't crazy. The combat was super fun and probably my favorite part. I definitely liked the combat in this game way more than the first one. It felt tighter, the weapons felt great, the power-ups and abilities were super fun to mess around with. That was like a fun aspect of it, and that's why I liked saving the little sisters. Once again, I think whether you save them or harvest them, I think you get the same amount of atoms. Not too sure on that one. This game definitely begs a second playthrough to do it the other way, so you get different endings whether you save the sisters or not. Regardless, finding the upgrade stations and having enough money to buy upgrades and ammo, and then having enough Adam to upgrade myself, super fun. Like, I love all the different ways that you can go about and kill things in this. You can freeze gamers, you can shock water and kill them, you can light them on fire, you can pick up items using telekinesis and blast them with it. You can send out killer bees that bother these gamers, and while they're freaking out, you can shoot them. You've got different weapons. You've got a big machine gun, a smaller machine gun. You've got the Big Daddy drill. You've got a rocket launcher. You've got like this dart gun that you can shoot darts on the ground and they're trip mines. Like there's so much here for you to just mess around with the combat. And it was really fun trying to kill gamers in different ways. Rapture is such a cool and unique location. It's an underwater city that has the aesthetic of 1950s, but also futuristic at the same time. And I love it. I am very fascinated with the world design. I'm very fascinated with the atmosphere. Learning about Rapture in the first game was one of my favorite parts about it. Although I still struggle with the idea of storytelling through audio logs. I think for the most part it's fine, but I did find it annoying when I would pick up an audio log and then get attacked. Or I would pick up an audio log and I'm in the middle of combat or something. And you probably can go back and re-listen to it. I mean, I'm sure you can. If you can't, then that is a complete oversight by the developers. I never did. I just kind of chalked it up, well, it wasn't that important. And it probably was if you're really wanting to piece the story together. Once again, though, I don't know if audio logs is my favorite way to tell stories. Although it's cool because it's kind of diegetic. It keeps you immersed, basically. Because the game's not stopping to show you a cutscene or anything like that. And I know a lot of people, for some silly reason, don't enjoy cutscenes. They don't like when the game stops and shows you a little mini movie. I do. That's probably my preferred way of storytelling. I think it's super cool, and the developers can get across exactly what they want me to know. But it's also a reason why I think the audio logs are cool, is because some people don't get that, and gamers that go out of their way to explore and find the audio logs get rewarded for it, and I'm a big fan of exploration in video games, and I love getting rewarded for stuff like that. So once again, I don't know how I feel about audio log storytelling. You guys should let me know your thoughts on audio log storytelling. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Pros and cons? Because that's kind of where I'm at. I'm on the fence with that one. I think the world design is really cool, and the level design. Like, there were so many times I would look out the window and just take in Rapture for what it is. But even like the levels that you walk through, I thought were really cool. The aesthetic and all of the filler items that are around just add to the atmosphere of Rapture, and it's super dope. I felt in this game, I felt way more powerful than I did in the first one. I'm not sure why. It could just be in my own head because I'm playing as a Big Daddy and I realized how hard those dudes were to kill. But maybe it's the same, I don't know. I mean, I did die a few times. I don't think I died a lot. So once again, I'm starting to think maybe I played the game on easy mode or normal. I don't remember. I don't think it matters. I can enjoy a game playing it on easy mode. I can enjoy a game playing it on normal mode. It's really hard for me to enjoy games playing them on the hardest difficulty unless it's a replay. But I'm going to be completely honest, it's not very often I replay video games unless they're from my childhood and I'm super nostalgic. I feel like when I play a game, I try to get the most out of it. I try to put as much hours into it as I can in my first playthrough. I try to explore and find as many things as I can. I try to interact with the game as much as possible. I try to interact with all the different mechanics in the story. I try to get the most out of the game as I can in the first go because, once again, I don't replay games all that often. There's so many games on my backlog that for me to put 10 or 15 hours into a game and then do that again to replay it, I think that I personally would much rather go play a different game, get a different experience, another experience, especially when I'm playing older games like this, because I don't think there's any doubt that these games are great, but I don't know if there's any doubt that developers have gotten better and have introduce different quality of life changes in newer iterations of video games. So I am excited to play Bioshock Infinite. That's going to be on the list for next year, for 2025. That's on the backlog. But yeah, comparing number 2, Bioshock 2 to Bioshock 1, I like this game a lot better. It was more fun, it was less jank, I enjoyed the combat, the collection aspect of it was super cool, I loved exploring, I loved the atmosphere. You fight big sisters in this, which are super fast, they're like a Big Daddy adjacent, super fast, they're creepy, hard to kill, they're great. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Bioshock 2. Once again, I think I personally like this game better than the first one. I don't know if that's a hot take or not in the Bioshock community. I feel like it probably is because I don't really hear that much about Bioshock 2. And I feel like that's kind of a shame because it was a fun game. I enjoyed it. It was a quick playthrough for me. I beat it in about 8 hours. So yeah, it was just a fun shooter. It was, once again, just trying to be creative. Finding creative ways to kill splicers and go about combat was where it was at. That, to me, and exploring and upgrading my character, that was it. That was great. That's all I needed. It was super fun. Saving the little sisters was fun. The atmosphere is creepy, and I love it. And yeah, if you haven't, you should check out Bioshock 2. If you have played Bioshock 2, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you think it's better than Bioshock 1? Let me know, because maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm in the minority here that feels that way, but that's how I feel. You tell me how you feel. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and as always, keep it rad.